That's good. Hey, pretty girl. Why so mad?
Hi, Quixie.
Oh.
Want a picture?
So it is day 4. We got here on Friday, and it's Tuesday. I finally slipped away today and took a shower, hence how lovely I look, because I didn't have very much time. So I was able to sneak home, see Henry for a little bit, and shower, and then head back to the hospital. Board says all the stuff, who's our nurses and the doctor, and all the instructions. At our NICU, we make these. They make, the nurses do. I don't make them. Caterpillars with all of their updates. Look at that. Oh, Grace's feet. Hey, I just got up from well, I've been up. I did the 8 o'clock care time, and the girls are doing well. They both got out of their lights. They were under lights for jaundice. They were both done with those today. Hopefully it stays that way. I fed them both and then pumped. And now I'm gonna run down to the cafeteria and get some breakfast because I'm starving because I haven't eaten anything. I usually try to order my food because I can get food here in my room. But I haven't ordered it yet, so I'm gonna run down and hopefully the cafeteria is still open for breakfast and get some. Day 6. Here's little Ruby. She just got some oxygen yesterday. Little Gracie. No longer under the lights. My son Henry was born at 34 weeks, and he was in the NICU for almost 3 weeks. And that was a year and a half ago. And so we were familiar with the NICU. So I was a lot more comfortable coming down here this time, just because I knew the process, I knew the milestones, I knew the things that we were going to have to try to establish. So far, we're on day 6 in the NICU. It's Thursday, July 25th. The girls have been doing really well. In a lot of ways, they're surpassing their brother, which I think is normal because they have a week on him. But they, like with latching, we're doing breastfeeding, they latched right away, both of them. I didn't even have to work with them, like knock on wood, hopefully that stays that way, but they just get to the breast and know exactly what to do and eat. They're so little that it takes a lot of energy to eat, and so they, started with really small feedings. Plus I didn't have my milk in yet. If you've ever breastfed or if you're planning to, your milk comes in slowly, at least for most people, at least for me. It's not like, and here's your milk, and you have colostrum, which is that liquid gold. It's that really yellow stuff. I'm in Grace's room now. I was in Ruby's earlier when I was recording, but I got interrupted, and now, like 6 hours later, here I am again. So we've just been taking the feeding slow as my milk has come in. I'm getting definitely more milk now. The girls are eating a little sporadically. We weigh them before I feed them, and then I feed them when we weigh them again. So the hospital, the doctors give them a minimum for of how much they should have each feeding. So right now, Grace is on 40 cc's and Ruby is on 44. And I would prefer that all come from me, and it will if I have enough milk. If I don't have enough milk, we use donor breast milk. So we weigh them, we put them to breast, then we weigh them again to see what they have, and then they adjust their feedings. They have a tube in their nose that goes to their stomach that gives them the rest of it so they can be sure to get it to grow. Right now, the girls haven't been growing. They've been losing weight or holding steady, but we haven't seen the numbers go up. That's part of the reason we have the oxygen. So both girls right now have oxygen in their noses just to help them. They say that everything they're asking them to do, hold their temperature, eat enough, hold their temperature, eat, breathe, poop, pee, all those things take energy, and they take a lot of energy. And so it's like running a marathon for a little baby. And so what happens is if they are wasting a lot of energy eating, then they don't have enough energy and they get tired and they don't breathe as consistently. So they have a little bit of oxygen to help them breathe more consistently. And then the hope is that that will help them retain some of their calories so they can actually start growing, and the faster or the more that they grow, they won't need that oxygen. They'll have more energy to be able to do all of those things at one time. So it's just a waiting game, and we're just on this 3-hour cycle where we do care times every 3 hours at 8, 11, 2, and 5, 24/7, day and night. And so we just put one on the scale, I breastfeed her, we put her on the scale again, and then she gets the rest of her feeding, if there is any, through the tube, and then I go to the other girl, weigh her, put her on the scale, put her to breast, weigh her, see what she got, and adjust, and then I pump for about 15 minutes. So right now it's taking about an hour and a half, hour 45, depending on how long the girls are eating for. Sometimes if they're eating pretty good, we let them go a little longer. And just sort of like how the nurses are running, but they stay pretty on schedule. So that's sort of where we're at. We're day 6, and I don't know how long we'll be here. It's not really a thing they tell you because I think they don't want to get your hopes up. They don't want to make false promises because it's really hard to know what the babies will be doing. So, there was part of me that thought, oh, we'll maybe be here for a week. Obviously, a week is tomorrow, so that's not very realistic. We're not going home tomorrow, I know that. Right now, I'm still holding hope out for 10 days to 2 weeks. 2 weeks seems realistic. Henry was born a week earlier than the girls and was here for 3 weeks, so it would make sense that the girls born at 35 weeks would stay until technically like they were 37, which is where I was trying to get my pregnancy. We're on day 11 in the NICU. Here I've been tracking what they get, what they pump since we've been here. It's my little home away from home. Hey everyone, I've been recording real sporadically. Initially, when we first got to the NICU, I was really hopeful, since the girls were born at 35 weeks in a day, that we would go home in 7 to 10 days, just based on our previous experience. However, life is full of surprises. We are almost at 3 weeks of being here. The girls are almost 38 weeks gestation. Words are hard. So I have not had the energy or the time or honestly the attitude to do a lot of filming. I was going to do a day in the life of, but then I realized that I was way too tired during the day to do that, because I'm just operating on such a limited schedule with limited sleep. But today I had a little time and energy that I thought I would update you a little bit on what we've been doing. So it's been really frustrating because the girls are really overall healthy and doing great. Like most preemies, the main thing they're focused on is eating and growing. So I am primarily breastfeeding, and I'm doing tandem feeding now, so I'm feeding them both at the same time. And they're doing really well with that. They've been really great latchers. They've, eaten well. It's just, they're just not taking huge enough volumes to gain weight as fast as we would like. So that's been the main thing we've been working on, which is a thing you see with late preterm babies all the time. The other issue that was really unexpected for us is the oxygen. So the girls are working so hard to gain weight and to eat that they just don't have the energy to breathe at the saturation level that they want to see. So they've been on a really low flow oxygen for almost since like the third day since we've been here. It was really hard for me to see them get on oxygen initially, just because with our son we never had to do that. Felt like a big step backwards. I'm come to terms with it more, but it's still really frustrating because they have tried room air trials 2 or 3 times and the girls just can't do it yet. So they say really the only solution is they just have to grow and get stronger and, develop more both in their brain and their lungs. And then, sorry, there's a really loud refrigerator if you can hear that. But they just have to grow more so then that they can breathe easier. And so we've got to get the feeds up so they can breathe better. So those are the 2 things we're working on for both girls. Both girls, as of today, we are August 7th. Both girls are on shift goals. Grace just moved there today. Ruby's been on a shift goal for about 2 days now. What that means is normally we feed every 3 hours, and during each feed they have a certain amount that they need to eat. So they've had a tube in their nose going to their stomach, so I would breastfeed them, and if their goal was 40 and they took 20 from me, then they would put 20 through the tube, through the gavage of my breast milk, but they would just make sure that they were meeting that goal because they want to see them gain weight. Once you move to a shift goal, instead of having the amount that you need to get every 3 hours, you just have in the 12 hours with a nursing shift, so there's 2 shifts per day, the day and the night. So in the 12 hours they just need to get a bigger volume, like 180 is I think what they're both at now. So it's essentially what their goal was every time, times 4. And so it's less important for them to get 40, 40, 40, and they can get like 60, 20, 40. So that's more like what would happen if you were feeding at home and weren't paying attention to the numbers as much. So we want to see them do that. Now Ruby's been on her shift goal a couple days and she has been meeting it, exceeding it even. Grace just got on hers this morning, so here's hoping that she does good. That is one big hurdle, and I know that once we can kind of get through the shift goal thing, that's a big leap toward home. However, we're still on oxygen, so it's like, how long are we going to be on oxygen? So it's just been In a lot of ways, it was easier for me when we came to the NICU initially because we had been here with Henry. I knew what to expect. I knew what the process looked like. I knew what my role was as a parent. Um, but just like when we were here with Henry, the longer we're here, the harder it gets. You just get so tired. I have just been waking up to do feedings every 3 hours, and they last about an hour and a half. So that gives me an hour and a half to, at night I just sleep. So you have to like fall asleep right away and try to get your hour and a half in so you can get up and do it again. During the day I'm trying to like eat and, just like have a little bit of time for my own thoughts and to call people and to update people and the whole thing. So it's been a lot. We have started giving them bottles of NeoSure, which is a formula that will help them gain weight. So a lot of preemies have to have it. And that we started a couple days ago, and it's nice because I've been letting the nurses give it to the babies, and that means that I'm letting go of some mommy guilt of like, I have to do everything. No, I don't have to do everything. So the nurses are giving them NeoSure at the 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. feeding. So at the 5 a.m. feeding, I've been getting up and pumping and then going back to sleep. So it's giving me a little bit more life. And at the 5 p.m. feeding, I've actually been going home because Henry is home, and it just hurts my soul to be away from him, and he's really struggled with me being away for so long, so much. So I've been going home after our 2 o'clock feeding. I get home between 3:30 and 4, and I stay home, have dinner with my family, the ones that are home, and then put Henry to bed and shower myself and like get my stuff together and just make sure I'm back at the hospital for our 8 p.m. feeding. And then immediately after the 8 p.m. feeding, I'm going to bed and doing the whole night thing over again. So it makes my days feel a little shorter, but it also is nice because I get to sort of see all of my children and my husband a little bit more. And I think that, yeah. Anyways, so that's where we're at. I don't know when we're gonna go home. It's really frustrating because I want to be able to help the girls and do it for them and get them what they need, but I can't. I really just have to wait for them until they're ready. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just breastfeeding every time except when they have those NeoSure bottles, and trying to be here for them, trying to love on them, and just waiting until they are ready to get off their oxygen and I can take them home. Oh, it's been a few days since my last update, but because I've been really focusing on the babies and making some changes to what we're doing. So I have been breastfeeding since the day the babies were born and was very, very dedicated to that. But little Grace they're both really good latchers and were eating really well, and everyone here was very supportive, and we were tandem feeding and we're having lots of luck. But little Grace was just growing so slowly that I made the executive decision to start giving the babies bottles of breast milk. So I've been pumping and giving them bottles to see how they did with that. And they've been doing so well. They've been taking full bottles, 60 milliliters, and before, when they would eat for me, it was anywhere between, 30 to 60, and it was just here and there. And so I feel really confident. I was really struggling with my decision initially because I was so determined to breastfeed. I'm still breastfeeding. I'm still giving them breast milk, but we're just giving it to them in bottles for now because I want to see them grow faster so they can breathe better so we can go home. And it's really been working, and they're growing, and we have Grace off of oxygen now as well. She went off yesterday morning. She's still off. They're having a few events with their breathing and their alarms, but it is not as many as I anticipated, and so we're talking about doing car seats soonish, which if you know anything about the NICU, that's the step before you go home. So things are really, really looking. All right. You guys did it.
All right, it's official.
Yay!
Printed it out. They took one little peek at it, and
Awesome.
like,
Yay!
"Oh, we have to look at those."
You guys get to go home today.
Stop it. You don't have to do that anymore. You're going home.
Hey, I'm pumping right now, but I just wanted to hop on and say both girls passed. It's August 15th. They started their car seat test a little bit before noon, and we left for lunch, and we got back a little bit before 2, and we're told that they had both passed with flying colors. They had no alarms the entire time. So we get to take these girls home, and we are so thrilled. We have been here for almost 4 full weeks, and I'm so happy that we get to go home and take them home, and that they're fine and healthy, and that this journey and this season and this experience is over, and now we get to start a new one that will be equally as hard and challenging and exciting and happy. But I'm happy to say this one has come to an end, and we're going to pack our room up and go home. I'm going to sleep or not sleep in my own bed tonight with my husband, with my son. The son will not be in our room. We do not let him sleep in our room, but you know, we get to have everyone home. So thank you to everyone who followed along on our journey through Instagram and sent us well wishes and positive words and happy thoughts, and just everything. We're so grateful and we're so happy. It is the 16th. Here are Ruby and Grace. Gracie is still in newborn sleepers. This is one of her brothers. Ruby's in 0 to 3 months, a little bit bigger. Sweet little Rubers. She's a little reflexy like her brother was. Gracie is our champion sleeper most of the time. Last night she was kind of up when her passy kept falling out of her mouth and she kept crying, so I had to get up and give it back to her. But normally she's super good. They're both super good. Almost 2 months old, you guys. Almost 2 months.